thunderstorm that's still within the Calhoun County area, but set to move to the east and gradually move its way closer to the western side of our region. So we do have the opportunity to at least give you a heads up if you're within the Liberty County area, say along Highway 12 and 65, especially closer to the river. That's where we have the highest likelihood for some of this portion of the thunderstorm to make headway towards the east and is moving at about 30-35 miles per hour. This has been a persistent thunderstorm cell that emerged from the Panama City region and has held itself together despite some development of rain towards the south of this system. There's been a steady circulation that's prompting the ongoing severe thunderstorm warning that encompasses and surrounds that tornado warning zone, and it is likely to make its pass towards the areas around Stiff and Ugly and the Gun Landing area towards Lewis, and eventually into the Highway 65 corridor in central Liberty County beyond the expiration time of 3:15. Now, this has been one thunderstorm cell that's really held itself together, and that's why we're cutting in for a couple minutes just to let folks know in the western Big Bend and around the communities in the Apalachicola River region that we can see some impacts from this thunderstorm across our western Big Bend counties over the next hour or so. There's been plenty of lightning strikes with this thunderstorm. That continues to be a big part of the strength of this system, as well as the occasional circulation that's been showing up pretty clearly in our velocity mode, where it does have at least a good flow of rotating air within that thunderstorm, and that tends to lean into the belief that a tornado is possible within this region. And again, this is mostly in Calhoun County right now, just outside the Kynard area. So this is going to be something that will take about another 45 minutes before it gets closer to our region across the western Big Bend and our local counties near the Apalachicola River and the Apalachicola Forest. But this is a storm that we do have to watch very closely. We are in an environment where these thunderstorms cannot just kick up gusty winds and even a quick spin-up tornado, but also the hail possibilities. This has had a history of producing very large hail over the last hour or two across Gulf County, or Bay County in particular. Some of the hail activity has been decreasing with this, but thunderstorms that will be near and south of Interstate 10, they will have that capability of causing large hail too, and that's a big part of the reason why there is a severe thunderstorm watch for many of our Big Bend counties through about 7 o'clock. But our current tornado warning straddles the Apalachicola River and includes the west central side of Liberty County until 3:15. There's a broader severe thunderstorm warning that extends to Highway 65, so the Hosford-Toloja area until 3:45. The thunderstorm that is causing a lot of this will continue to move to the east at about 30 miles per hour. So if we are going to put a little storm tracker on this to try to estimate when it can arrive, over the next few minutes, it will be mostly across those open areas and those rural communities along 12 and 65 and approaching the 65 corridor by about the 3:30 time frame. So there's still adequate time if you are downstream from this around Lake Talquin, Gadsden, Liberty, as well as Leon and Wakulla County. There's still adequate time to monitor this storm, and you can certainly do that through our news and weather apps and through our social media postings. We'll also start to transition into more lengthy coverage if we do have a tornado warning that affects more of our local counties across the interior and central Big Bend region. So we're on top of this. We're going to keep you informed throughout the course of the afternoon. I'd say for Tallahassee proper, some of this activity will start to move in by about the 4 o'clock hour. Not necessarily tornadic, but it can produce some times of gusty winds. It can trigger a few additional warnings, either severe thunderstorm or tornado warnings, and maybe even some large hail. We don't often talk about the hail impacts from thunderstorms in our region, but this is a setup that will support at least occasional large hail, especially from these individual thunderstorms that are likely to continue to lift in from the west throughout the course of the late afternoon and evening hours. So we'll keep you posted throughout the afternoon. We'll have more coverage through our various digital channels. And of course, if we have a continuation or extension of that tornado warning into closer Big Bend counties, we'll certainly be back with full coverage of such activity if it were to occur. We'll take you back to normal programming right now on ABC 27.
Correlation coefficient again. Hard to tell because the hail's getting in the way. So hail is up here, the radar beam's coming through the hail, so it's hard to tell, but there could be a tornado there. Let's zoom in down and go back to base velocities. Yeah, I think there could be a tornado here. So County Road 392 right here where we're getting this stronger couplet. This potentially could be a tornado. This is going to move towards Scotts Ferry. If you're in Scotts Ferry, if you're in Gadsden, you need to be in your shelter now. That's lowest level of your home, most interior room, closet, or a bathroom. The reason we say that, tornado picks up debris, it throws it through exterior walls. If you're on an exterior wall, you could be hit with the debris that's going through the exterior wall. We have hundreds and thousands of pictures of 2x4s just sticking in the side of a home. So you don't.
Number 175 has been issued.
In an interior wall, preferably a bathroom if you can. The plumbing through the walls in the bathroom actually hardens that structure and makes it a little more safe. So lowest level of your home, most interior room, either a closet or a bathroom. Closet can also be safe as well if it's in the interior of the house. If you're in a mobile home, if you are in a manufactured home and you're in this area off to the east, I think there's a tornado right there. That looks like a debris ball being picked up on radar. If you're in this area, if you're in the polygon and you're in Gadsden or you're in Scotts Ferry, you need to be in your shelter now. I think we do have a tornado either imminently developing or already on the ground, not getting debris lofted just yet. And it's hard to tell because the hail is getting in the way, but there is a dropout right there where we are picking up the reflectivity at its strongest, and that is certainly one of the stronger couplets we've seen of the day so far. So likely a tornado happening right here. This is moving off to the east. Again, that's the Apalachicola River right through there. Marysville, Gaskins, Mosquito Landing, Gun Landing, Estefanolga. Sorry if I said that wrong. All of those areas need to be in your shelter at the moment as this does continue to move off to the east. This could turn off to the north. This could turn more off to the south. The parent thunderstorm's off to the north, so more times than not.
The National Weather Service in Tallahassee has issued a tornado warning for North Central Gulf County in Florida, Southern Calhoun County in Florida, West Central Liberty County in Big Bend of Florida, until 3:15 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time or 2:15 p.m. Central Daylight Time. At 2:49 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time or 1:49 p.m. Central Daylight Time, a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located 8 miles northwest of Storm Hill Creek, or 16 miles southwest of Bluntstown, moving east at 35 miles per hour. Hazard, tornado and quarter-size hail. Source, radar indicated rotation. Impact, flying debris will be dangerous to those caught without shelter. Mobile homes will be damaged or destroyed. Damage to roofs, windows, and vehicles will occur. Tree damage is likely. This tornadic thunderstorm will remain over mainly rural areas of North Central Gulf, Southern Calhoun counties in the Panhandle of Florida, and West Central Liberty counties in Big Bend of Florida, including the following locations: Marysville, Scotts Ferry, Estefanolga, Killard, Lewis, Woods, Hugh Creek, Chipola Park, Central City, and Orange. Take cover now. Move to a basement or an interior room on the lowest floor of a sturdy building. Avoid windows. If you are outdoors, in a mobile home, or in a vehicle, move to the closest substantial shelter and protect yourself from flying debris. Torrential rainfall is occurring with this storm and may lead to flash flooding. Do not drive your vehicle through flooded roadways. Repeating, a tornado warning has been issued until 2:15 p.m. Central Daylight Time or 3:15 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time for the following counties in Florida: Calhoun and Liberty.
It's likely off to the north of that, so you'd have to be looking up toward, say, Bayou George to be able to see this, and we'd be looking through the backside of the storm, so it's unlikely we could see it. We're probably looking at the base of this storm here around Weehawken as opposed to what we've got going on up here, because this is all rain on the backside there. So unlikely that we could see the tornado from here, but where that tornado is, if there is a tornado on the ground, once again, right around Go ahead and pixel query that. I think that's 80 or 90 miles an hour. Yeah, 86 miles per hour now, 70 showing up around there. Go ahead and give that as well. So yeah, 30 and 86. Yeah, we're approaching over 100 miles an hour now. So certainly the possibility of not only a tornado, but certainly a very strong rear flank downdraft as well. So what's going on here is the wind is wrapping around that inclusion and being pushed to the ground, which is why we're getting these higher reflectivities. That's probably not the wind at the surface. It's probably somewhere around 60 miles per hour, but certainly strong enough to do damage, and that is a strong couplet. So we've got broad rotation here. Tornado could be in anywhere inside of that rotation, that couplet that we've got going on. Not seeing debris being picked up. That's what we've got pulled up here. That is our debris detector. There's a little bit of a dropout here, but it's really hard to tell because our radar beam is going through the hail core of this storm. So it's hard to tell what we're picking up is not hail, but actually a tornado. So that is a very, go back to the other one. Which one were we just on?
This is Tallahassee right now, and this is our local one.
Yeah, okay, so they're both
The National Weather Service in Tallahassee has issued a tornado warning for North Central Gulf County in Florida, Southern Calhoun County in Florida, West Central Liberty County in Big Bend of Florida until 3:15 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time or 2:15 p.m. Central Daylight Time. At 2:49 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time or 1:49 p.m. Central Daylight Time, a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located 8 miles northwest of Stormhill Creek or 16 miles southwest of Bluntstown, moving east at 35 miles per hour. Hazard, tornado and quarter-size hail. Source, radar indicated rotation. Impact, flying debris will be dangerous to those caught without shelter. Mobile homes will be damaged or destroyed. Damage to roofs, windows, and vehicles will occur. Tree damage is likely. This tornadic thunderstorm will remain over mainly rural areas of north central Gulf, southern Calhoun counties in the panhandle of Florida and west central Liberty counties in Big Bend of Florida, including the following locations: Marysville, Scotts Ferry, Esophanilga,
This sound is processed by Stereo Tool. Go to stereotool.com.
Central City in Orange. Take cover now. Move to a basement or an interior room on the lowest floor of a sturdy building. Avoid windows. If you are outdoors, in a mobile home, or in a vehicle, move to the closest substantial shelter and protect yourself from flying debris. Torrential rainfall is occurring with this storm and may lead to flash flooding. Do not drive your vehicle through flooded roadways. Repeating, a tornado warning has been issued until 2:15 p.m. Central Daylight Time for the following counties in Florida, Calhoun, and Gulf.
Put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. Take your phone with you. You can watch us on your phone on the Storm Track 13 app. Take a pillow with you. Take blankets with you. Cover yourself up. Have sturdy shoes on just in case tornado does come over your location and you have to walk out over debris. You don't want to be in your barefoot or flip-flops or something like that. Put shoes on, tennis shoes, something that's going to cover your whole feet. If you got bike helmets, take bike helmets in there with you. I think this is a tornado on the ground. That looks like a debris ball. I think we have a tornado on the ground. It's hard to tell on CC because we've got hail. This is hail right there, but certainly a very strong hook echo showing up along with the hail on the north side of that. This is starting to curl up just a little bit, so this could be a good sign that we're maybe choking this storm off just a touch, but that is a very strong mesocyclone at the very minimum, so anywhere underneath this area, there could be a tornado on the ground, anywhere under this area. So all the way back down to Anderson Road, State Highway 71, where the intersection County Road 392, all the way up to, say, State Highway 71, the County Road 275. Those areas could, anywhere in here, River Road, could have a tornado on the ground, as this is a very strong mesocyclone. It's a very broad area of rotation. And what we're looking at here, again, red is wind away from the radar, green is winds toward the radar. So this is the radar in Tallahassee. So what we're getting here is that rotation once again. So we're seeing a very strong rotation, and this does look like it has kind of curled up. What we would call deviant tracking, as opposed to just a regular southeast track. Anytime we start to get a north track to it, or rather northeast track, anytime we get more north than east, that is obviously not an atypical track, but it is typical for parent thunderstorms to pull in those tornado tracks. So again, State Highway 71, County Road 69, and then going back over, this is the Apalachicola River right there, so Estefanoga, back over to Woods. You need to be in your shelter now. So that's back on the Liberty County side. Going up New Hope, again, you're running out of time. You need to be in your shelter now too. County Road 12, and then Northwest Pea Ridge Road. If you live along this road, County Road 12, Woods, Northwest Pea Ridge Road, you need to be in your shelter now. And then back down to our river camps, Espanoga, Mosquito Landing, Gun Landing. This may end up going just off to your north, but you could still see the rear flank downdraft, the down gust that comes on the backside of those occlusions of the potential tornado. So this is definitely producing very strong winds. At the bare minimum, that is a very strong wind gust coming down to the surface, say 60, 70 miles per hour. And again, if you're in Scotts Ferry, Marysville, Mosquito Landing, Espanoga, Woods, Fawn Ford, you need to be in your shelter now. Kristen, you want to take over for a minute?
Yeah, so we're, if you're just now joining us, we are watching a severe thunderstorm that has the capability of producing a tornado. That is why we do have a tornado warning in effect till 2:15. What we've only seen from this storm is that it has gotten stronger over time, which is why we are indicating that velocity couplet, the winds going towards and away from each other, or towards each other and away from the radar, and indicating that rotation that is still ongoing right now. So we are going to keep a close eye on this. Again, we've seen the intensity increasing over the past about 15 to 20 minutes or so, and really indicating very strong winds here as well that are likely attempting to mix down to the surface. We have winds on radar of around 80 or so miles per hour. Now keep in mind the radar beam is shooting up in the sky, so this is an elevated measurement of the wind. However, there's probably at least 50, maybe 60 mile per hour wind gusts making its way down to the surface. So we do have a new issuance of that tornado warning. It is actually going to be extended until 2:45 p.m. Central Time now. Getting information from the National Weather Service. Again, no confirmation of a tornado on the ground right now, but certainly significant rotation that would indicate the potential to see a tornado ongoing. And now we talked a lot about the hail, and that's actually one thing that is limiting our ability to see whether or not there is debris ongoing. And as Ross had mentioned before, we certainly do have that hail spike, that three-body spike that is really just messing up our radar beam to report whether or not there is actually any debris ongoing in the area. This is correlation coefficient is showing the debris. It's not doing a very good job, again, because the hail is interfering with the radar beam. I'm going to switch it off and put it back to our reflectivity product. I know there's a lot of red showing up on the radar due to heavy rainfall. It's kind of hard to see where the tornado threat is at this time. Circling it here on the map is where we likely have the rotation still ongoing, just to the south of where there is a hail core indicated by the arrow here. All that bright pink indicating strong winds, as well as intense rainfall and likely some quarter size to golf ball size hail as this storm continues to move through Calhoun County, getting close to the Apalachicola River just to the south there of Blountstown. Blountstown does not have the threat for the tornado at this time, but the storm is continuing to shift to the east and ever so slightly the northeast. So we are going to continue to keep a very close eye on this system, with the most intense rotation still ongoing through parts of central and southern Calhoun County right now, where we do have a very strong velocity couplet. I would say one of the stronger ones we've seen for the day today. If there is a tornado, it is going to likely be just to the north and east there of Anderson Road. Again, the radar is on a little bit of a delay, so we are likely going to see the new update come in and the velocity couplet shift to the north and east there right around New Hope. If you know anyone living in New Hope, or maybe you yourself are in that area, you need to be in your safe spot right now. That is the lowest and innermost level of your home or whatever building you may be in, putting as many doors and walls between you and the outside as you can. You want to set up into maybe a bathroom, a closet. If you have a laundry spot, that would probably be a good place to go as well. You don't really have a whole lot of time to seek shelter if you're in New Hope or Estefanolga or towards Woods. So don't run and head to gather supplies. You really need to do what you can right now to head to your safe spot as quickly as possible, as there is very likely a potential tornado on the ground right now. Again, just a few minutes ago, this is a little bit of an old radar scan, but it would be over Gaskin, Scotts Ferry, Maryville, County Road 275 near State Highway 71, County Road 69, River Road, County Road 333, a bunch of these county roads over here getting closer to Liberty County. But again, radar updates continuing to show that velocity couplet that only looks to maintain its strength over the last few scans. Ross?
Yeah, if you want to throw a hand tracker up for me, and I'll take over, and then you can check on reports and get on the National Weather Service chat and see what's going on here. Certainly seeing things kind of broaden out, and as well also seeing the potential for this to be producing some very strong winds down to the surface. So stick with me here as we do go through this. Is it on?
Yeah, I put it on. I'm
not seeing it working. It's glitching out on me. We may not be able to do this. I don't know why it's doing that. It's kind of jumping around. It's not giving me a consistent look. May need you to still run this for me, but what we've got going on, this is right over Scotts Ferry. This is our hook echo. We're starting to see the inflow be cut off a little bit as this is pulled into the parent storm. So now Blountstown and Bristol, you are under the warning now as this has shifted to more of a northeast track as opposed to east-northeast as it was showing earlier. So at the moment where our couplet is, this is actually moving more off to the north as it's being pulled up into that rotation. So Blountstown and Bristol, you are now included in that tornado warning, as well as New Hope. If this continues on the same track that it was on, New Hope is going to go right over the top of you, and eventually it'll track up there toward Bristol on the east side of the Apalachicola River. This may still stay to the south of Blountstown, but Blountstown, you're likely still going to be talking about a very dangerous storm with hail, frequent lightning moving pretty close to you, especially on the south side of Blountstown. So going back down the county road there toward, say, Gadsden and Maryville and Kynard, those areas I would be in my shelter now as this does continue to move more off to the east-northeast. So again, eventually this is going to cross over the Apalachicola River, Bristol and Blountstown as well. But we do have that tornado warning that goes until 2:45 Central Daylight Time. It's for this strong mesocyclone. So this is our occlusion. Not seeing the tight couplet that we were seeing at one point in time. Notice that the winds are starting to get further and further apart. So this could just be that we're wrapping up that whole meso, but we're still seeing winds lofted up toward 80 miles per hour. So at the surface, easily 45, 50 miles per hour, maybe 60 or even 70 if we're mixing things down efficiently. And if there is a tornado, say somewhere right in here where the couple is a little bit weaker, that could be the RFD, rear flank downdraft. So we could be talking about a downburst of winds through this area. Can be just as significant as a tornado. Straight line winds can do as much damage or more so because they cover more area than just a small tornado that's moving across an area. So if you're under this tornado warning, if you live in that area going across the Apalachicola River, south of Blountstown, south of Bristol, back into Liberty County, you need to be in your shelter because as Kristen is highlighting here, that is where the tornado warning is. It's kind of blending in with our actual radar reflectivity, but right through here, that's where we do have that hook echo happening at the current moment. Let's go over to shear rate. Let's pull shear rate up so we can see that. You can actually see how how this has wrapped itself up all the way into the parent thunderstorm. So it's possible you could even get a gustnado on the top side of this, on the back side where the probable tornado is. If there is a tornado on the ground, it's probably that spot right there. But note that we're just kind of getting a pendulum effect. So what's going on is this has wrapped itself all the way up. That may mean tornado has lifted. If there was one on the ground, we may be seeing it now lifted back up and trying to cycle once again, because what we're getting is just this wrap up of this rotation. But certainly does confirm that we are still seeing strong rotation down to the surface on the south side, up Bluntstown toward, say, Espanolga, back over toward New Hope. So this is now off to the north of those areas. Gun Landing, Mosquito Landing, you're probably okay. If we zoom in, I can highlight those roads a little bit as well. So Sharpstown, Espanolga, you need to still be in your shelter. Mosquito Landing, you could probably stay in your shelter as well. Maryville, this is now moving past you. Gaskin, this is moving past you as well. And then if you're in Kynard, that has already moved past as well. So you don't need to be in your shelter anymore, but we still do have strong storms around the area. So you need to still stay weather aware. But where you do need to be in shelter, Woods, back over to New Hope. Let's go off to the north here. Any of these county roads that you're seeing, let's follow this county road up to Bristol. So County Road 12 going all the way up to Bristol, eventually White Springs as well. This is State Highway 20. Bluntstown, I think this is going to stay well off to your south, but if you're on County Road 69, say from Sharpstown to New Hope, back up to, say, Bullhead Bay. I think that's what that is, Bullhead Bay Springs. I think that's what that says, Abe Springs, somewhere around there. If you're on that county road, anywhere to the south of that back to New Hope, I would be in my shelter, as we could still be talking about this rotation moving toward you. Let's go back over to our velocities here and highlight that once again. Yeah, I mean, we got a couple different couplets going on. So one couplet right through there, another couplet right through here, and another one up through there. This is a big mezzo that is rotating around. So we've got kind of a mess. It's possible we may have a couple satellite tornadoes on the ground right now. That is also possible. So all of this is rotating pretty rapidly, and we've got definitely strong winds occurring currently over Marysville right now, and this is moving, will eventually move toward Espanolga. New Hope, if we do have a rotation in there somewhere, this is going to move right over the direct top of you, somewhere between Espanolga and New Hope, and eventually out into Apalachicola River area, where thankfully there are no roads through here. So I'm assuming that nobody lives in that location because there are no roads. But if you're on County Road 12 between Woods and Bristol, you need to be paying attention to this, if not getting in your shelter now. If you're in a mobile home or a manufactured home, you got to find another place to be, because manufactured homes and mobile homes disintegrate in EF zeros. That's 80-mile-per-hour winds. We get 80-mile-per-hour winds in severe thunderstorms. And with a tornado, because you're adding some lift into that, and wind can get underneath those manufactured and mobile homes, even if you've got hurricane straps or something like that to the ground, it's not a safe place to be. We've already seen in the past year tornadoes work over mobile homes in our area and destroy them. Weak tornadoes just destroy them. So if you're in a mobile home, if you're in a manufactured home, and you're in this warning and you're on County Road 12 to the south of Bristol, you need to find a safer shelter right now. You don't have time. You got to get there now. You should already be there, enact that plan. I always tell people in this area, have a 5-minute plan. That 5-minute plan, as soon as the warning goes out, you got to enact that 5-minute plan. If you're not in a safe location, that means you need to be in your shelter in a safe location within 5 minutes, preferably before 5 minutes, but no later than 5 minutes. You got to be in that shelter, in that safe spot. That is typically the lowest level of your home, most interior room, as many walls between you and the outside as possible. Reason we say that, tornadoes pick up debris and they throw them through exterior walls, and you don't want to be on an exterior wall. We also have a lot of other thunderstorms. This is our discrete storm, and you can see that couplet showing up really nicely there. So this is likely still a tornado in progress to the south of Bluntstown right now, as that has rotated and wrapped up very, very nicely. This is moving toward the Apalachicola River. But if you're in Panama City, if you're in Bay County, once again, you are under severe thunderstorm warning. It's for these thunderstorms that are progressing this way. I think we're on the Tallahassee radar right now, so that's showing the elevated.
We're on the local radar.
Oh, we're
now.
on EVX. Okay,
yep.
Never mind. So that's because because it's raining over EVX, so we're getting some attenuation here. But anyways, these are very intense thunderstorms, gusty winds. I think this warning, if you want to highlight what the warning is for, what's the hazards on the warning, Kristen?
Yep, it looks to be about 60-mile-per-hour winds and about an inch in diameter hail.
Okay, so much of what we've already seen, that's what this warning is for once again. So up to 60-mile-per-hour winds and up to 1-inch hail is possible. We have had 2-inch hail reported across the area. We have pictures of 2-inch hail, but at the moment, the most concerning thing is our tornado warning. But if you are out in front of our severe thunderstorm, Kristen's putting a timeline here to highlight when these storms will be working across. So Laguna Beach, unfortunately, you just saw the hail not too long ago. You got another storm coming toward you, 239. Sunnyside, same kind of thing, layered in the same area. Hollywood Beach, Ebro, Pine Log, Seminole Hills, Inlet Beach, and Rosemary. It's happening right now over the top of you, but eventually this is going to work across PCB once again. And there's no telling that we may get a water spout to develop, especially on these lines out over the water. It's really, really easy to lift any kind of rolling wind out in front of these thunderstorms vertically. That's what a water spout is. It's not exactly the same as a tornado when it moves over land. For all intents and purposes, it is a tornado, but it's not exactly the same as a supercell tornado like what we're seeing here to the south of Bluntstown, where we do have that couplet. So water spouts are possible with these line of storms as it does work toward PCB. So if you're in PCB and you're seeing these thunderstorms approach you, if you're out on the beach, get off the beach. There's too much lightning to be out there anyways. But if you are out on the beach, you need to be getting into shelter. Go back to your room and your location till those storms pass. If you are in this polygon where we are highlighting the couplet, once again, we're seeing a very strong couplet again on radar, unfortunately. This is to the south of Bluntstown, right through here, a potential tornado on the ground. You want to go over to correlation coefficient. I know we're getting hail and we can't really see it, but if we could, maybe there's a drop out there. No, it's just not going to happen. This is hail, so hail is blocking us. What the radar is doing is it's hitting that hail and then it's being scattered out. So we're not getting a true definition of what's going on down here, at least at the surface, or debris being lofted up because the hail is scattering our radar beam. But what we do see is a very strong couplet down here around New Hope now. It's just off to the south of Sharpstown. This is going to move over County Road 69 in the New Hope area. So if you are in this area, you should already have been in your shelter, but you definitely got to be there now because that rotation's getting ready to move right over the top of you. This is going to continue to move off to the north and east. These are roughly moving right around 20-25 miles per hour, these rotation areas. This has been a little more erratic and moving a little further off to the north as it's rotating up into the parent thunderstorm, but certainly a strong velocity couplet right here just to the south of Sharpstown. In reality, we're looking at something that is up and elevated, so the tornado could be anywhere in this circled area around that velocity couplet. It may not be right here where the strongest couplet is, but that is where we likely are looking at a tornado either imminently developing or on the ground getting ready to move over the New Hope area and then moving up across the Apalachicola River back toward Bristol. So if this storm stays together and you are in Bristol, you need to be getting in shelter now. And if you're in a manufactured mobile home, I just went through this, if you're in that area and you're in a manufactured mobile home, you got to get to a safer location. You got to get to a well-built structure in a safer location, interior room, lowest level of your home, most interior room. That's closet, bathroom. Put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. The more walls there are there, the more likely that you're going to be in a room that is left standing if a tornado goes right over the top of you. And that's what we want. We want to put you in a survivable situation if a tornado does move directly over the top of you. So again, that's Bristol, White Springs, New Hope, all of those areas. You got to be in your shelter. If you're anywhere in underneath where Kristen just highlighted here on our timeline, you got to be getting in your shelter right now. You got to be in your shelter. If you're in New Hope, you got to be in the shelter at this very moment. But again, eventually, if this storm does continue to rotate and hold together, which I don't see any reason why it shouldn't, Bristol, you're going to be next on the line as this storm does continue in that direction. White Springs as well. Kristen, you got a new update for us?
I just have an update from the National Weather Service, not about this specific storm, other than the fact that they are not seeing anything on correlation coefficient either because of that hail spike, really scattering the radar beam and not giving us a clear description of whether or not there is any sort of debris being wafted into the air. But also, they are keeping a close line on our next line of storms. I know we've been covering this this tornado warning pretty immensely here on News 13, as it is the greatest concern for our folks in the Panhandle. But we do have that latest severe thunderstorm warning that does include South Walton County as well as most of Bay County. The tagline there is that they are watching the potential for any brief waterspout development, as we have mentioned as well, that we could see a potential waterspout developing over the Gulf. We do have some areas of rotation certainly to watch, but nothing that looks like an imminent threat right now. The greater concern, however, with this latest warning is the strong damaging winds, and you can see that pretty clearly because ahead of this main line there is rainfall, but it's a little bit more removed from the main line itself. So where you see the green going to red very quickly on the radar indicates where the strongest wind gusts are going to be, and I bet you if I highlight some of them here, which considering still some of this is out over the Gulf of Mexico, so we may not get the best readings, but there may be some stronger wind gusts in that area around 30 to maybe 50 miles per hour that the radar is picking up on. Some of that could still translate as it makes its way moving to the shoreline. Over the next, this is a pretty long morning, I believe. It's about another hour or so before it makes its way into downtown Panama City and other areas of Bay County. So if you are seeing the storms, and especially if you have the warnings in effect, please, please, please heed them, take them seriously. Of course, the tornado warning is the greatest concern for central Calhoun County and western Liberty County right now, but where we do still have severe thunderstorm warnings ongoing does still create a imminent threat of strong damaging winds that could do just as much damage as a tornado, just in a different form versus a tornado itself. So we'll keep a close eye on those storms as they continue to move on through, showing you the progression of the storms over the past well, this is only a 30-minute loop here, but you can see how they are really creating some heavy rainfall and shifting to the east and still creating quite a bit of a mess of weather in store that is going to last for the next at least 3 hours. We do have a severe thunderstorm watch for all of the Panhandle until 6 p.m. Central Time. The main concerns today are strong damaging wind and hail. We have several reports of golf ball size hail across many of our central and northern counties already this late afternoon, or mid-afternoon, I should say, and the hail will continue to be a threat, as well as brief spin-up tornadoes. I would say the only outlier is this tornado warning for Calhoun County. It's from one individual cell that moved from Walton to Bay County, is now shifted towards the east, and in doing so it's only recycled, which is why we've seen that uptick in the velocity couplet, the strong winds moving together and starting to show that rotation, thus of course warranting a tornado warning. So we'll take a closer look. Again, this is getting close to Bluntstown right now. We are going to see that broad rotation. I would say a better look here is that the rotation has really broadened out. I'm not seeing a clear couplet right now. Ross, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I agree with you. I was just looking at the exact same thing. It does look like this has broadened out. So that's good news for Bristol, as well as White Springs off to the south. This may be trying to cycle. We've already seen this storm cycle about 2 or 3 times as we speak, and we're still getting that rotation. This is still producing very gusty winds. This is probably 40, 50 miles per hour there on the south side of that County Road 12, I believe that's what that is. This is off to the south. So we could be talking about 50, 60 mile per hour winds making it down to the surface. This could be what's left over from that rear flank downdraft. So this could be more of a downburst at this point in time. That's right over woods, but we're not seeing that couplet like we were before. So this has certainly broadened out. We got the winds moving in opposite directions, but you can see that the line that it is taking is not as sharp. So we're not getting those hooks anymore. Where we are seeing a hook is back over toward New Hope, and it's very, very weak. Let's zoom out. I want to take a look at the storm out on the beach. Unfortunately, what we were looking at out on the beach, it looks like a waterspout tried to develop just offshore there with this storm. We may have a couple of different waterspouts. This one may have just moved ashore. It looks like we've got maybe another waterspout there offshore. This eventually could work back over toward Panama City Beach. That is definitely a waterspout, no doubt about it. So as we're looking, that right there on the south side of that warning, that is 100% a waterspout. So there is definitely a tornado for all intents and purposes out over the water at this this moment in time. Where we were seeing some sharper rotation has dropped off a little bit, but this is a very sharp line of storms, and certainly waterspouts could move ashore over PCB, especially central and back over toward eastern PCB, out toward St. Andrews State Park as well. So looking back across the beach here, this is going from, that's the Walton County line there, I believe, and then coming back across. So we've got 79 here going up, and then back over toward Pier Park. So I would say off to the east of Pier Park, you should be watching very, very closely, as we could be talking about a waterspout working ashore. If not this one, we may see another one develop. I'm willing to bet we'll probably see 2 or 3 on that line out over the water, but hopefully these do continue with the same kind of theme and dissipate as they are moving ashore. But anytime you get these kinks in these lines like that, that's where you get just enough inflow that you could be talking about rotation happening. And right there, that's where we definitely have a waterspout. So we could be talking about another one there. And I think we may have had one move ashore in southeastern Walton County as well, because that's where we did have some inflow there. So it's possible you may have had just a big gust of wind come in southeastern Walton County toward Inlet Beach. That could have been potential waterspout moving ashore, but now just gusty winds. And you can see the purple dotted all through this as well. So there's likely small hail, maybe pea size, up to a quarter inch size type of hail, possibly as large as 1 inch hail moving across the area into Bay County now. So that's the Walton County, Bay County line right there. So this is going to be moving into Bay County. And what Kristen just highlighted here is where hail was falling. So this tells you where hail was probable. So anywhere you're seeing the pink going back over to the black, that is probable hail. Wherever you start to see white and gray, like you're seeing behind me on my left shoulder there, that is where hail was likely falling. And as we look at our tornado warning, let's dive back into this, since we don't have anything imminent on the beach. Let's go back over here and see what we do have. Not Panama City.
Sorry. Click
Here
the
we
wrong
go.
button.
As we go look back over toward Bluntstown, sorry to be laughing there. That was just kind of comical with the radar movement, but not the storms. The storms certainly producing quite damaging. It looks like pretty much just wind gusts at this point. I think that's just a big downburst. So you still see some rotation. Let's go to reflectivity and look at the structure of the storm. I don't think this is looking nearly as impressive as it once was. No, it looks like it may be trying to cycle. Because the parent thunderstorm's kind of falling apart a little bit. We're getting a new hail core to develop there. This is what's left over from what was the downdraft on the backside of the occlusion. And we still have the shear ongoing. So potentially we could be talking about something trying to redevelop and move back into this area. This is eventually going to be working toward the Wakulla County line. So that's the Liberty County line right there, back over to Wakulla. So actually that's Gadsden County, actually, isn't it? It's off to the north. I don't know. It's kind of hard to tell with where we are, but that rotation on the south side there, that's where if there was a tornado, there would be a tornado. So Bristol, White Springs, I think you're okay. If we're going to get a new tornado, it's going to happen down here, back to the south and east of the woods area. So Connors Ford, back toward Hosford. I have no idea how to say that. Talaga. I don't know. Lowry, back over to Silo, Connors Ford, those areas, I'd be keeping a close eye on this. If we do get this thing to cycle, this could produce another tornado and eventually move over in those locations. So again, County Road 67, if you're in that area, I certainly would be thinking about getting in shelter, especially between Silo and Hosford. State Highway 65, if you're along those roads, you should be getting in your shelter. So that's right on the edge of the warning at the current moment. Hosford, you're not even under a severe warning, but I'm telling you, the storm's moving toward you and it's cycling, and we could be talking about a new couplet trying to develop there. So continuing along State Highway 20, County Road 267, County Road 67, and State Highway 65. If you live in this area between Silo and Hosford, certainly be keeping a very, very close eye on that storm as it does continue to rotate rapidly and cycle. Basically what happens is these storms, they ingest too much moist air, or they don't have enough inflow, and they start to produce downbursts. When that happens, it kind of cuts off the old circulation, but the old downdraft can actually create a new circulation. As the thunderstorm rotates and starts to ingest new air, we can get that inflow to return, and we can get a new couplet, and that's where I believe we would have a new couplet developing. You'll note that this look where it's kind of blotchy, you get green and red mix, that indicates elevation. So that is elevated storm. That is not surface-based. Down here is surface-based. This may still be getting some gusty winds, and certainly that's where we typically see our hail falling. But at the moment, I would say most concerning is going to be that area down here on the very southeastern tip of that tornado warning at this moment in time. That does still go until 2:45, but where the rotation is, this is probably going to be moving out of the warning here relatively shortly. So they're either going to have to issue a new warning on what I believe will probably be a new couplet, or they're going to have to drop the tornado warning and extend the severe thunderstorm warning. This is looking back at home here, going back over to the beach. Kristen, you want to address what's going on there? You got a closer look at it?
Yeah, we're taking a look at that severe thunderstorm warning over towards South Walton County and Bay County. I do have a couple of notes from the National Weather Service. They are also closely monitoring the same exact line, and that's why I wanted to pull it up and take a look at what we're seeing off of our base reflectivity right now. Certainly seeing some water spouts. And that is what the National Weather Service has noted in their latest alert message to us as well. They are watching them very closely. They will keep a close eye, as we will. Of course, they're the ones who issue the warnings. We are the ones who get on to broadcast and let you know about that warning. So it looks like they will keep a close eye on this for perhaps another couple of scans, but we may see a tornado warning come out of this storm system, this specific line, as we do have a couple of areas of rotation to watch. One that's already over our coastal areas in far western Bay County to the west there of Laguna Beach, right over Inlet Beach. There's certainly some rotation to watch in that area. There's also a water spout just off the shoreline here, as I draw you a circle to indicate where we do have a few water spout activity ongoing, and then another one which still has quite a ways to go, but further out in the Gulf that would be approaching parts of, say, eastern Panama City if it were to line up with its due east movement tracking to the east there. So certainly a few areas to watch now as we watch our latest line of storms start to move in to Bay County as well as South Walton County. That is a severe thunderstorm warning on the map until 3:45. It extends all the way to the eastern line there of Bay County. So very heavy rainfall coming with this storm system, strong gusty winds, and it looks like we do have now another severe thunderstorm warning newly issued for parts of Calhoun County and extending out towards Liberty County as well. That will go until 2:45. Oh, that's the old warning. The new warning, excuse me, is issued until 3:45. So it looks like the National Weather Service will be allowing the tornado warning that was in effect for Calhoun moving to Liberty County to expire in just a few minutes here, and they have replaced it with a severe thunderstorm warning. Probably because they're seeing the same thing we're seeing, Ross, which is a broadening of the rotation. No imminent threat of a tornado right now. However, we're going to keep a close eye on it as it could recycle and it could lead to another spin up further down the road. But I think right now our attention needs to go very closely over towards South Walton and Bay County for potential to see either a tornado trying to form on land or a waterspout, tornadic waterspout forming over the Gulf. Ross? Yeah,
that's exactly correct. The severe thunderstorm warning that they posted now for Liberty County, that does include Gaskin as well as Leon County. That does include a tornado possible tag. So what they're saying there is they're not seeing an imminent threat from a tornado, but a tornado could happen from that same thunderstorm. It's already cycled several times, so it's very possible that we see this develop a tornado once again. Thankfully, it is kind of caught up in the other storms at this point in time, so this is kind of attached to some weird surface boundary that's lifting north that may be helping this cycle, but certainly that is going to continue to move off to the east. But I do want to highlight, typically we would jump out of coverage when we know a tornado warning is over, but we're going to stick around because I believe we're probably going to see a tornado warning on that water spout before it does reach shore. So let's zoom in on that. Do you know roughly how fast this is moving? If you want to just create a mark and go back an hour and create a mark so that we can see just the distance this has covered, and then we can put a time of arrival on this back over toward Middle Beach is where I think this is probably going to end up, somewhere in between Pier Park and Middle Beach Road. That's probably where we're going to see this waterspout come ashore. Maybe it might be right around where Middle Beach meets Front Beach. It might be just off to the north there, but certainly that's where we're looking at. This is definitely a waterspout over shore. We also have another area of rotation. There's a new scan, so certainly still seeing the possibility of this waterspout moving in. So You got a rough idea of how fast that's moving?
Just trying to go back to look at the original issuance of that severe thunderstorm warning to get the tag there. That was moving east at about 30 miles per hour.
Okay, so let's take our time of arrival tool and draw it over here. You're going to have to put in a little prompt that it's moving at 30 miles per hour. Do you know how to do that?
Do I need to do that before drawing it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and then that gives
I'll go work on that.
That gives us a timeline there. But what we're looking at is a very intense line of thunderstorms that is progressing across Bay County now and out over the water. We've got probably 1, 2, 3 potential water spouts that are over the water at the moment, and then definitely some very strong winds. This is actually winds going off to the north that are ahead of that line, and then we've got winds going off to the south on the backside of that line, which is why we are getting these sharp areas of rotation. So if this does go due east, we're talking about this reaching Panama City somewhere in the 26-30 minute range. If it does go due east, that's probably what we're looking at. So again, these can rotate north. These can move up to the north on these line segments. They generally travel east once we get a tornado on the ground. So if that water spout were to make it ashore, we'd be talking Open Sands, Bidawee, Bahama Beach, Edgewater, Long Beach Resort, as well as Panama City Beach. That's going to be the central location right there. Gulf Lagoon Beach, Biltmore Beach, Lower Grand Lagoon, Upper Grand Lagoon, as well as Magnolia Beach, which is much further on the eastern side. But all of those areas along the beach, you want to be getting into your shelter now. Just go ahead and do it. Even though there's not a tornado warning here, there might be a couple of different water spouts here. It's really hard to tell because, again, it doesn't take much. Over the water, all you have to do is take rolling wind that is rolling along the surface, and then as the updraft comes along, aka the storm, all it has to do is tilt that vertically, and now you have a rotating column of air that's going to go from the water all the way up to the cloud. And then once that it gets attached to the actual rotation of the thunderstorm, now you got a tornadic water spout that is over the water, as opposed to just a general fair weather water spout, which is just going to lift that relatively weak rotating column. This could be a relatively strong rotating column. So I believe that Bahama Beach, as well as Edgewater, Panama City Beach, that's right there, that central location where Middle Beach, Front Beach, and then back over to Gulf Lagoon Beach, all the way down to Biltmore Beach. I certainly would be in my shelter paying attention. If you're in a hotel, if you're in a hotel and you're on the beach and you're watching us, your bathroom in your room, even if you're an elevated room, is safe. Go in toward the central hallway. That's where we tell people to do, but you can go into your bathroom in your room. That's safe. If you're not in your bathroom, then you can also go down toward the lobby and ask the receptionist where they want you to be, or you can call down to the desk and ask that. But definitely a water spout there just offshore now. That is somewhere around 79, so that's just off to the south of 79, between 79 and probably Pier Park, somewhere right there. I think that actually is Pier Park, so this is just off to the south of Pier Park, so there's a water spout right there. Yeah, that's Powell Adams Road, Hill Road, and then you got Nautilus there. So Open Sands between Gulf Resort. This area is Pier Park, so that's South Pier Park Drive. So just off to the south of Pier Park, there's a water spout offshore. This is going to be moving toward Open Sands, Bidawee, and Bahama Beach. If you're in those locations, interior room, most interior room, closet or bathroom, take with you blankets, pillows, cover yourself up as this does work ashore. Hopefully this is just a general water spout that has been formed by the thunderstorm lifting that air vertically, and hopefully this is weak and will dissipate as it does move ashore. But we've seen water spouts, even brief water spouts, move ashore just in the past couple of years and produce EF2, EF3 damage. Think about the Blue convenience store got hit by an EF3. Everyone else around the area, not a whole lot going on when that did move ashore, but they can do briefly damage like that, especially when we have these supercell thunderstorms helping to create these tornadic water spouts. And we've got a couple of them out there right now. Definitely one just to the south of Pier Park, and then another one that is getting very close to shore. So we got two water spouts that are going to be moving ashore. Then we do have a tornado warning now in effect for those locations. That's my emergency alert on my phone going off. 3:15 Central Time, tornado warning. That's what it's going for. for. But 2 water spouts getting ready to move ashore. This one to the south of Pier Park, moving toward Bahama Beach as well as Bidawee. If you're in that area, you need to be in your shelter now. If you're on the east end of the beach, you got another water spout that's going to be moving in your direction as well. That's Gulf Lagoon Beach, Sunset Avenue, North Lagoon as well, Allison Avenue, Laird Street. Basically, if you're in the Magnolia area, Gulf Lagoon Beach, back down Panama City Beach, which is where Middle Beach meets Front Beach. If you're in those locations, you got to be in your shelter now. And if you go back over toward Bahama Beach, Edgewater, Gulf, basically anywhere along the beach, from Bahama Beach back off to the south and east, you got to be in your shelter now, because this is a water spout right here just to the south of Open Sands moving toward Bidawee. This is a relatively dense area of population, so there's a lot of houses here. I'm not telling you that you should get into shelter. I'm telling you to get into shelter now. It's not an if, that is get into shelter now, because we're likely going to be seeing a water spout moving ashore either now or very, very quickly. Remember, our radar is a snapshot in the past. So this is probably already moving ashore Bidawee, back over toward Latana Street, Wisteria Street, Fernwood, as well as Beth. All of those areas, you got to be in your shelter going back to Bahama Beach as well. And that's not the only water spout out there, but this is the one that is closest to shore at the moment. So this is Back Beach Road here, 98, and then this is going along Front Beach toward Edgewater Gulf. You should definitely be in shelter, as well as Long Beach Resort. And now looks like our water spout either stayed offshore or dissipated, but this is some strong winds and strong rotation showing up there too. So right there where Middle Beach meets Front Beach, so back toward Hutchinson where the middle school is there, the elementary school, certainly need to be in your shelter too. All along Middle Beach Road, going back toward Back Beach, toward the Hathaway Bridge. That's what we've got here. So that's where this eventually will track. So this may go just off to the north, but Gulf Lagoon Beach, I'd still be in my shelter if I were you. It's possible that we still have 2 water spouts, so there still may be one offshore Bahama Beach, but certainly one moving ashore as we speak at the moment. This can continue to move across, basically going to follow right up Middle Beach Road and right toward the Hathaway, so eventually maybe over toward Pretty Bayou as well once it crosses over the bay, but we'll get there. We'll see how long this holds together once we get there, but water spout likely moving ashore as we speak. This is going to be moving over Allison Ave as well, working toward Laird Street. So if you are in that Middle Beach Road area where Middle Beach goes toward Front Beach, you got to be in your shelter now. Lowest level of your home, most interior room, closet or bathroom if you can. I do have the tower cam. I'm looking out across the tower cam. I'm not able to really see a whole lot here, mainly because we've got rain falling, so that's kind of shrouding it. I'm looking for any kind of lowering. It looks like let's see, that's the Hathaway. It looks like there's a bowl right there. Kristen, can you see that?
Do you want me to go east or west? Which way?
Go
or north or
go
south?
North a little bit.
Okay. It's really hard to see. It is very rainy out there. I'll tell you that much.
It's raining. It's a little hard to see, but if you go.
It's
yeah, I know it's lagging. Yeah, I know it's lagging, but I think right to just off to the north. Yeah, right there. So there looks like there's a lowering as we're looking back towards St. Andrews. There looks like there's a bowl right there going toward the Hathaway Bridge. So that's right where we're seeing the most imminent rotation. So very possible. This is kind of hard to see. So let's come back over to radar and we'll highlight that a little bit more. But definitely seeing a lowering. So we were looking right here. That's where we were looking. And we were seeing a lowering there, kind of a bowl-shaped look in the cloud. That's where we could see potential waterspout or tornado down. And we may not see a full condensation tornado. You see these pictures and video of tornadoes out west. That's not always the case. Sometimes you have a funnel. It's just a rotating column of air. If it doesn't condense, it can be from the cloud all the way to the ground. We can't confirm that until we actually see debris being picked up. There doesn't have to be condensation going from the cloud to the ground to be a tornado. You just need that column of air to be rotating from the cloud to the ground for it to be a tornado. And certainly that's a possibility here, as we do have that nice little point. So looking back, there's the the couplet right there once again, and strong winds now moving toward the Hathaway. So this is now the couplets right now on Back Beach Road. This is going to be moving right over the Hathaway very, very soon, or just off to the north of the Hathaway. So this is if we have a tornado on the ground, if there was a water spout still attached to this that is now over land, which would be a tornado, it'd be right in through this area. So right over Back Beach Road, that's Highway 98 on the north side of Middle Beach. And then we certainly do have gusty winds. This is going to be moving toward the station here very, very quickly, as well as those gusty winds, heavy rain, frequent lightning, and possibly small hail as well. So let's zoom out a little bit, get a better view of what's going on here across the area. If you got any updates, you can see that. You see that little kink right there? I think that's where we're looking at that rotation. Right there, that's where the kink is. So that is one of these little S's, as I would like to say. You get these S's in these line segments, and right where the S bend is, that's where typically you get these little brief spin up tornadoes, and that kink is where that inflow is allowed to come in. So right on the edge of that S is where we could be talking about a tornado, as the couplet does show there. There's also a couple of other areas of rotation and another probable water spout offshore there as well. That may eventually move toward Tyndall if it does hold together as well. So that's a water spout too, so that could be moving ashore. But if we have a tornado on the ground here, it's on the north side now of Back Beach Road, and we got a little tightening up of that couplet right there too. So this could be a tornado right there. There may be a tornado on the north side of Back Beach Road. Let's zoom in. This is Wild, and that's a dropout in CC. So yeah, this could be a tornado. This may be a tornado on the ground now. So if you're in Wildwood Road, that's the road that turns right after you come across the Hathaway Bridge, Caroline Ave, Big Daddy Drive, all of the condo complexes that are out there on the bay as well. You got to be in your shelter now. You may have a tornado approaching you rapidly at this point in time. It may already be over the top of you, but you should be in your shelter now. Let's zoom out and go across the bay here. But again, all of those areas, you got to be in your shelter now, because that's a tight couplet right there. So we could be talking about a tornado on the ground. So back over toward Pretty Bayou if this does cross the water, and then once again all the way up toward Lynn Haven, those areas, you got to be in your shelter too, because this eventually could work that direction. I know you're not under a tornado warning, but if that holds together, you will be. So from Pretty Bayou back up to Lynn Haven, I'd be seeking shelter all along the canals here as well. Going up to Lynn Haven, I would certainly be in my shelter or paying attention, or very, very quickly getting to shelter here soon, as you'll likely see a new tornado warning issued out for that as well. So again, that continue from Lynn Haven down to Pretty Bayou. If this holds together, that's where it's going to go, because there's our potential tornado, and based on our correlation coefficient, there is a drop out there. So this could be a tornado on the ground producing debris. Again, it doesn't need to be a condensation funnel. It could just be an area of rotating wind that is down to the surface, and now it looks like we may be seeing debris being lofted up into the air. So looking on the tower cam here, I don't know if we're pointed right at that area. Can you see it?
I have been looking at the tower camera, and I can't see it because of the rain, but we do now have an observed tag on, oh, that's a different tornado warning. Sorry, that is for Liberty County moving to our east. So no observation of this tornado that looks like it's on the ground based off of reflectivity and, of course, the drop off in our correlation coefficient. Otherwise, with this storm system, other than I know we have the tornado warning in effect, other folks are being impacted by very strong winds over towards Laguna Beach. At least 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts have been reported. So if you're in the warning, whether that's a tornado warning or a large severe thunderstorm warning, that is still in effect for most of Bay County. You need to treat this very seriously. Stay away from windows and doorways. It's best to be inside and heed these warnings. Take them very seriously, whether or not there's a threat of rotation or strong damaging winds, which we know by now can produce just as much damage as a tornado. There goes my phone telling me about the tornado warning. Hopefully you are receiving those alerts as well, and we will definitely keep you up to date. That alert just being issued because the tornado warning has been extended to include more of Bay County. So as we have given you a heads up, this is moving from Panama City Beach now over the bay, and it does include downtown Panama City, Lynn Haven. This will also include Callaway, Springfield, all the way over towards Tyndall, as we are tracking that severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado. Right now, I'm looking very closely here on the radar. Our velocity couplet is certainly showing more of a spike, more of an increase as the storm moves over the water, which of course it can intensify a lot quicker than dealing with some of the friction of the ground. So we're very likely dealing with a tornado that is now moving over the water, but it is going to be shifting towards the east. And as it does so, it's going to get very close to our bays, including North Shore Drive. Need to seek shelter right now all the way over through Lynn Haven and continuing to the east as well. Over to the east of 77 Mosley Drive. We got Ormond Avenue towards Brandonville, even towards Bayou George. This is going to be a large area included with this latest tornado warning extending from the bays now. And I do think it's going to continue to shift towards the east over towards Lynn Haven as we are seeing that increase in rotation over the bays and still seeing that large threat for a potential tornado.
Yeah, looking at the tower cam there, you can see the rain shaft moving across. That could also be the portion of the rain-wrapped tornado. Let's fly over to Liberty County real fast. We'll jump back over here since this is out over the bay. But if you're in Lynn Haven, you're in downtown Panama City, you got to be in your shelter now, or rather north of downtown Panama City, you be shelter. This is a confirmed tornado now on the ground. This is moving out of Liberty County up toward Gadsden and as well. But this is moving directly over Hosford. That's State Highway 20. This is a confirmed tornado on the ground. So if you're in Hosford, we told you about 15 minutes ago you need to be getting in shelter. Now we have a tornado directly over the top of you. This is not an if, this is a confirmed tornado on the ground moving over State Highway 20. If this continues off to the north and east, let's zoom in on that road right there, if you will, Chris. And that's State Highway 65. We got Chester Street where the tornado is now. That's State Highway 20. This is going to continue to move off to the north and east, and it will eventually move out of Liberty County up into Gaskin County. But if you're in Lowry, I'd be seeking shelter. And any of these roads that are between State Highway 20 and back over to Lowry, you got to be in your shelter. This is now moving up. They've got this on rapid scan too, so we're getting every couple of minute updates on it. But that is a confirmed tornado on the ground. If you are in Hosford, you got to be in shelter now. The tornado is right over the top of you. You're probably hearing it. You're probably seeing it. You're probably definitely don't need me telling you that there's a tornado on the ground, because that is confirmed. That is definitely 100% a tornado on the ground. Thankfully, there's not a whole lot of at least city population based on our radar off to the north and east of Hosford. But man, oh man, that is not what you want to see. That is not what you want to see. That is debris being lofted as this storm is moving directly over Hosford. Man.
Yeah, definitely. Not what we'd like to see. We are taking a power hit here at the station. We got a power hit,
but we're still on air.
So if you're seeing a little weird coloring, we are dealing with the severe storms rolling through.
We'll see everything populate back up here in a second. If you can still hear us, if you're in the Hosford area, you got to stay in your shelter. That tornado is moving right over the top of you. If you're off to the north and east of Hosford, you also need to be in your shelter as well. This is a tornado on the ground. That is telling us debris is being lofted. This is not a question anymore. This tornado is on the ground. It's getting ready to cross State Highway 20. It's moving off to the north. Yeah, go ahead.
Let's jump over to our tornado warning that is in effect for Bay County as well.
Yeah, we're getting a tighter couplet there too.
We do have a couplet, and I was just looking at it on another radar scope product here, and it looks like the hail might be messing with it. I'm trying to, declutter this radar for a moment. But it did look like there could be some drop-offs going on here in Bay County, which could indicate potential debris. We have absolutely no visibility on our tower camera right now. It is immensely covered in rain there, but we do have the extension of this latest tornado warning. It does now include eastern and central Bay County, so they have expanded it to the east there across those areas as well. So
yeah, I mean, you can hear the wind over the top of us, regardless of where you are in this severe thunderstorm warning. We've got some very strong wind gusts that are occurring along with blinding rain. We definitely cannot see out across our tower cam, and this is once again a three-body hail spike, so hail is getting in our way of being able to see what's going on here. Let's go over to base velocity once again, and certainly thoughts of those impacted in Hosford with that tornado that is occurring at the moment. This is again, it's going to be moving into Gadsden County here relatively soon, but that is a tornado on the ground. It's moving right along State Highway 65. Lowry, you've got to be in your shelter now. This may move just off to the south of you, but you are running out of time. Tornado is going to move right over the top of you here very shortly. And if you're in between Lowry and State Highway 20 going all the way to the Liberty County border, you need to be in your shelter. So State Highway 65, between State Highway 65 and State Highway 20, all the way to the Liberty County line, this whole area needs to be in shelter. I know this is probably logging roads or other roads. There may not be a whole lot of population here, but if you are in that area, this is not an if, this is a tornado on the ground. It is happening. It is creating damage. It is producing damage. It is a destructive tornado. It just moved over Hosford. We're seeing the debris lofted up into the atmosphere. That is 100% unequivocally a tornado on the ground. This is going to be moving again. If you are up into, if you're able to watch us and you're in Gadsden County, you're right along the Liberty County border, if you're back up to Wetumpka, all the way down to Lakeview Point, Ebenezer, you got to be in your shelter too. If you're able to see this from there, that's outside of our viewing area, but I'm telling you, tornado on the ground. So if you're watching us outside of our viewing area, you're in Gadsden County, you got to be in shelter now, as that is a confirmed tornado on the ground. So Wetumpka, back down to Lowry, if you're in those areas, get into shelter. All right, let's go back to the Bay County. I'm not ignoring this. There's just not a whole lot of population through there. We want to go back to the tornado warning here in Bay County. We're going to zoom in. We got a couple of different areas of rotation. One that looks likely. No way we can see that on radar, or no way we can see that on tower cam. I'm looking. They've got the tower cam pointed to the north. I can't see that, but that is likely a water spout across the bay here, getting ready to move back into the north side of Lynn Haven. Let's zoom in on those streets there. This is all gridded out, so that should be fairly easy to pick out. But basically, this is where the park is. What is the park? A.L. Kinsall. That's Kinsall Park there. So if you're on the north side of A.L. Kinsall, going back to, say, 4th Street, I may be wrong on my location there. Kinsall is there. No, I'm right? Okay, Kinsall's down there. So back over toward 4th Street, 6th Street, 8th Street, 10th Street, 11th Street, back to Lynn Haven, all the way up to the bridge that crosses and goes over to Southport. You got to be in your shelter now. That is likely a tornado moving in your direction. If you are on the Southport side of the bridge here, you got to be in your shelter too. This could end up going a little bit further off to the north, so Buchanan Street back over to West Smith Road. Get in your shelter now, as that is rotation, strong rotation right there, and definitely strong gusty winds. Eventually this may work up toward say Deer Point Lake. That's the Deer Point Dam there. So going back over, we've got Southport Elementary is included in this area where this rotation is. So Southport Elementary, if you are watching, you need to get the kids in a safe location. This could be a tornado moving in your direction. Same thing about Deer Point Elementary. If this takes a harder turn to the right, that could be moving in that direction as well. But definitely a strong rotation there. Possible tornado could be working aground. Our correlation coefficient debris is hard to tell because we've got so much hail around, so hard to tell about on that. But strong rotation there. So north side of Lynn Haven, basically from 11th Street back off to the north, and then on the opposite side of the Southport Bridge on Highway 77. If you're basically from Southport back down to the south, so from 1st Street down to the bridge, you should be in your shelter. And then continuing as you go over toward Deer Point Lake, Rosetta Beach as well. That area, this is all now D.R. Horton homes. New D.R. Horton complex is gone. You need to be doing your tornado safety now. You need to be getting the kids to tornado safety now. That could be a tornado potentially working back toward Lynn Haven. Again, 11th Street back off to the north. Bay Point over toward Deer Point. Move this to the other. There you go. Over toward Deer Point, you got to be in your shelter. So there's our couplet. That's where our velocity couplet is. So there's could be a tornado now moving back toward West 5th Street and 4th Street. That could be a tornado moving over the water, or maybe partially over water, over land at this point in time. This is going to move across. That's the Bailey Bridge, right? I think I'm remembering that correctly. That's going to be crossing the Bailey Bridge here shortly, very, very quickly. And then this will be on the north side of the Bailey Bridge going up toward Deer Point if it does continue to move in that direction. Let's zoom out a little bit, make sure we're not missing anything else that's ongoing across the area. We certainly have gusty winds and we have very heavy rain. Looks like an area of rotation down there as well. And I do want to continue to highlight the tornado warning there too. That is a confirmed tornado on the ground. Another area of rotation crossing East Bay. That looks to be Callaway Bayou area, just to the south of Parker. Area of rotation there. So it's south of Parker, Callaway, toward the Callaway Bayou. This eventually be going toward Laird Bayou, and then over toward East Bay on the Callaway side down. I'm trying to remember what this area is called. My brain is going south. Going down toward Allenton, that area. This would be to the north of Allenton between Cook Bayou. That's what I was thinking of. So Laird Bayou, Cook Bayou, back to Callaway Bayou. You've got area of rotation there as well. This could be another water spout. And at bare minimum, that is a sharp line where we could be talking about very strong winds moving across the area. So we've got a couple of different areas of rotation on this line, and this line is definitely producing gusty winds. But that couplet is a little more impressive than this one, but there's two couplets. So one there and one there. Two couplets that are working off to the north and east. Both of those could be tornadoes. This one looks a little more likely to be a tornado at this point in time than the other one, but certainly this could be a tornado moving toward Deer Point Lake as well, going to reflectivity on overall. Oh man, that's not what you want to see. That's correlation coefficient dropout. So this could be debris. This could also be our hail. Keep in mind. All right, this could be hail. So this isn't necessarily saying that this is a confirmed tornado, but it certainly lines up where our rotation is, and it is a dropout. So this could be a tornado that is now working across the Bailey Bridge, working up towards Southport. And then again, that is the Deer Point Dam right there, State Highway 77A. And that is Deer Point Elementary is right there. Southport Elementary, I believe, is like right here. So it's not that far off between either or. And this tornado eventually is going to be tracking maybe right in between the two of them. If you are on the... That's a tornado. All right, confirmed. This is now a confirmed tornado. Confirmed tornado happening. So this is not an if. This is a tornado on the ground just to the south of Southport. This will be moving toward Deer Point. If you're on Deer Point Lake, if you are on the east side of Deer Point Lake, not a question of getting in shelter. You got to do it now. This is confirmed tornado happening right now, crossing the Bailey Bridge. Again, keep in mind, this is delayed. So this is already passed. This is probably up into this area. So it's likely somewhere around Sandra Road and then South Deer Point, Haven. So this is the complex, the D.R. Horton complex that was built just recently between Southport, where the ballpark is, the volunteer fire department is right there, and then going back over to the dam, the road that goes across with a dam there. This whole area, you got to be in your shelter now. This is Deer Point Lake. There's a lot of houses on the east side of Deer Point Lake, as well as now off the north and west side of Deer Point Lake. I would say the east side is probably more pertinent that you get into shelter, but the west side, I'd be getting into shelter too. So that's Highway 2302 going back over to Rosetta Beach, but this is Deer Point Lake. So we've got Deer Point Lake here. If you live along Deer Point Lake, you need to be getting into your shelter now. We got a confirmed tornado moving in your direction. Again, Southport Elementary, they need to be in shelter now. Deer Point Elementary, you got to be in shelter now. If you live along Deer Point Lake, you need to be in shelter now. Confirmed tornado as of just a few minutes ago, working across the Southport, just on the north side of the Bailey Bridge. This is going to be moving toward Bayhead, so this will probably go to the north of Deer Point Elementary for those that are concerned there, but likely going to go somewhere up there toward Rosetta Beach and then back over to Bayhead. So that is our couplet right there where Kristen just highlighted, and she's going to point it out. So again, that's Rosetta Beach, Bayhead, and then Cairo, which I'm not sure is even a town, but ours populates it anyways. But that is 231 going up through there. So again, confirmed tornado right here. This could be dissipating. It doesn't look nearly as intense as it was before, but it did at least pick up debris. So we may have seen tornado damage on the northwest side of Lynn Haven, back up there toward 4th Street, 5th Street. That's possibly where we did pick up that damage, as well as possibly on the north side of the Bailey Bridge. This is starting to look a little less intimidating. This is starting to broaden out just a little bit. We could still be talking about a tornado there. I do want to zoom out here briefly That one, there's still a couplet here. This is moving over Cook Bayou and Laird Bayou, but this is going to continue to move off to the north and east. I'm not seeing something too concerning there. The main concern here is going to be that one right there where we did have the confirmed tornado come from. But obviously, we're seeing several areas of rotation along this line, these linear segments. Anytime you get these notches, you can get inflow and you can get those to produce tornadoes. So if you're out in front of this line and you're in line of where we are highlighting these areas of rotation, lowest level of your home, most interior room, closet or bathroom, as many walls between you and the outside as possible, helmet if you can, closed shoes, tennis shoes, boots if you can. If in case you get hit by a tornado and you have to leave over debris, you do not want to be wearing flip-flops, something like that. You want to be able to walk out over that. But we have confirmed tornado around Southport. Unfortunately, still confirmed tornado ongoing just off now to the north and east of Hosford. That's going to continue up toward the Quincy area. This is running right, this just ran right over Lowry. Man, considerable damage on a confirmed tornado from Hosford to Lowry. So we're probably looking at a violent tornado here. This was likely a violent tornado on the ground in Hosford, and it's just moved toward Lowry. This is going to be moving into Gadsden County as well. So unfortunately, confirmed tornado ongoing following State Highway 65. This is going to move up toward Wetumpka as well. Ebenezer, you're included in that warning. This is now Gadsden County. This is out of our viewing area. Quincy, if you're watching us from outside of the viewing area, you're in Gadsden County. Shelter now. Shelter now. It's confirmed tornado, considerable damage occurring with that tornado. This went over Hosford. It's now over Lowry. This is moving toward Gadsden County, so need to be in shelter now. State Highway 65, if you're along it, you got to be in shelter now. We're going to jump back over to Bay County. I'm not dismissing this. That's just moving out of our coverage area, and we don't reach those people, so there's no reason to continue to cover it because we don't reach those people. They're not watching us. But if you know somebody in that area, if you know somebody in the Hosford area, reach out to them, call them, see if they're okay. At a damaging tornado move over that direction, it's quite possible that we're talking about considerable damage in that area. Trees down, houses could be destroyed. So please, if you know somebody in that area, if you know somebody in Gadsden County up toward the Quincy area, Wetumpka area, call them, tell them to get into shelter now because there is a confirmed tornado moving in their direction. That's outside of our viewing area. This is inside of our viewing area, and this was a confirmed tornado not too long ago. Let's go back over to, correlation coefficient, and let's see if we're still seeing a dropout with that. Looks a little more scattered. So this could either be the hail spike that we've been talking about, or this could just be scattering of the debris. Once the debris gets lofted up into the atmosphere, it spreads out because you've got shear there. So it starts to look like a bigger and bigger and bigger tornado. But what's happening is the debris is being picked up and then spreading out across the atmosphere. But we do still have a relatively strong couplet here, and we certainly have very strong winds moving over Bayhead, Rosetta Beach as we speak. This is going to go Cherokee Street. This is on the north side of Deer Point. So this is Deer Point Lake here, and it looks like our rotation continued to follow right along the eastern shore of Deer Point Lake. So this is probably tornado, waterspout, maybe a little bit of both, probably over Deer Point Lake. This is going to continue up toward County Road 2301 and continue up that way. So Pitty Lane, I believe that's a little small neighborhood there on County Road 2301. So on the Deer Point side, the bridge that crosses over there going up, you got to be in your shelter. But if you're on the east side of Deer Point Lake, all the way up, east side of Deer Point Lake, shelter now. Got to be in the shelter. At lowest level of your home, most interior room, as many closets or as many walls as you can. What is that? What am I looking at there? Go to reflectivity. Go to reflectivity. It could be a downburst. Probably a downburst. We've got this big hook that's happening here. This is probably a downburst. So in this area, that is 388, south side of 388. This is, yeah, that's probably a downburst. So Southport from Vicksburg back over to State Highway 388, going down to back down to Southport. Likely a downburst happening there. That could be just as damaging as a tornado. Downbursts can produce winds 60 to 100 miles per hour. But where we are still seeing this couplet that is working again along the east side of Deer Point Lake. Kristen, you want to take over for a second?
Thunderstorm warnings. I'm just going to zoom out from this view so I can get a little bit better look at what they may be talking about. You can see, are we still taking those power hits here in downtown Panama City? It's impacting our tower camera view, but we still have access to that radar. And we're seeing a larger now severe thunderstorm warning being issued, extending from this line moving through Bay County, where we do, of course, have that observed tornado warning. The latest severe thunderstorm warning has been issued until 4:30 p.m. Central Time. It does include southeastern Washington County, not Walton County, Washington County, eastern Bay County, southern Jackson County, all of Calhoun, the northern half of Gulf County, and the western portions of Liberty, as well as northwestern Franklin County. It is a large severe thunderstorm warning for this main line that you can see working its way through, where we also have the tornado warning. The biggest concern here is going to be the strong damaging winds. We have wind reports of around 50 to almost 70 miles per hour through some parts of Bay County, with this initial line making its way on through. So whether or not there is a chance of a tornado, the wind threat in and of itself is substantial. It needs to be treated very similar to a tornado, meaning that you take shelter, you stay away from windows and doorways, and you do what you can to protect yourself. Ross?
Yeah, we've got 2 confirmed tornado warnings. One now is moving out of Liberty County into Gadsden County. It's on the north side of, it just appeared out of nowhere. It's on the north side of Liberty County here too. So, no, sorry, not Liberty County. That's Liberty County. This is Leon County. That's Gadsden County. This is moving toward Quincy. Again, if you know somebody in the Quincy area, call them. What we have going on here is our thunderstorms, unfortunately, have pooled their energy together and have created a little linear segment, and we now have basically a mesocyclone. So we've got a little surface low that has developed, and as Kristen points out here, so right here where you're getting this kind of ball look on the north side, this is all rotating up and it's rotating down. So that's why we're seeing this rotation happening right over Deer Point Lake. That's where we did have that confirmed tornado warning, but this is an intense line all the way through, and anywhere along that line where we have that energy being rotated up into this mesocyclone, this little area of low pressure system, we're getting these areas of rotation. That's why we're seeing downburst signatures here. That could also be hail. We could also be talking about hail that's rapidly going to the ground. So very intense thunderstorm happening over Deer Point Lake and Southport at this point in time. This is, again, the rotation, the couplet, the strongest couplet that brought out the confirmed tag on the tornado warning, still over Deer Point Lake. This is going to continue to move up County Road 2301. Thankfully, does not look as intimidating as it did, say, just 20-30 minutes ago, as this does continue to go up in that direction. But again, if you're in Youngstown, I'd certainly be keeping an eye on this, as that rotation could spin up once again. Let's go back over to reflectivity here. I just want to see what we're looking at just a little more clearly. Zoom out again. So where that rotation is embedded here, and that makes sense. So this is what we'd call like a comma head. So that's what it looks like. It's basically like a bookend vortice that's happening on the north side of this area of rotation. We also have a little S-bend there, just over East Bay, going out toward the Intercoastal Waterway. That would be down toward Overstreet. That could be, we could be talking about rotation somewhere in here as well, if we go to base velocities. Yeah, so couplet happening right there. This could be a developing tornado. This could be a developing tornado just off to, that is State Highway 22. So Sandy Creek, State Highway 22, Watepo. Is that right?
Yep.
Watepo, okay.
Well, we're going to go with that.
Yeah, all right, whatever. That's the direction it is moving. So if you're in that area, be in your shelter. This could be a developing tornado as we speak, as it's along that line of this mesocyclone on those thunderstorms. You're right on the edge of that tornado warning, but willing to bet that we're going to see another one populate here relatively soon. But going back up toward Deer Point Lake again, not seeing the same signature that we once were, but we still do at least have those little couplets showing up. We got a couple different areas, and certainly have downburst signatures. That's what those are. Those are definitely downburst signatures. So if you're in Southport and the wind is just howling, unfortunately right over the area where the tornado was very nearly, if the wind is just screaming right now in Southport, that's what's going on. You got a downburst right over the top of you. That could be just as damaging as a tornado. You should remain in shelter as that does happen. So that means Deer Point, east side of Deer Point, west side of Deer Point, where we're getting these downburst signatures, stay in shelter. Even though the tornado is now past, stay in shelter because those downbursts can be significant. We can have significant damage from those as well. Thankfully, not seeing the couplets that we once were. Things are looking much, much better, at least as far as the radar presentation goes. Strongest couplet right now appears to be that one near State Highway 22 on the north side now. This will be moving into southern Calhoun County. Once again, tracking probably relatively close to where the last one went if this does continue to go in that direction. So unfortunately, there's a couplet. It's pretty broad rotation right now, but we could see that spin up. And then we've got another couplet that is on just now exiting the Deer Point Lake area, moving up toward 231. So that'd be Youngstown. Youngstown, you'd be the next one to see that couplet move right over the top of you. If you're in Youngstown and you've been paying attention, I'm giving you your warning ahead of time. I'm saying even though you're on the edge of the warning, you may be under a full-fledged tornado warning here very, very soon. If that couplet does continue, get into your shelter now. That looks like a confirmed tornado. That could again just be, we could just be getting a false return there, but there is definitely rotation in that area and a drop off. So that could be, we could be talking about kind of a gustnado situation. This is a line of storms, similar to what happens when you get a water spout. You can get rotating wind out on the front side of that lift vertically by a line of storms, and we call those gustnados because they're not necessarily supercell derived, but they can do damage too. So this could be a gustnado just on the north side of State Highway 22. It's moving toward Calhoun County. That couplet is staying firm. I think that could be a gustnado or possibly tornado moving up toward Calhoun County. This is the far northwestern section of Gulf County. This eventually would track basically in the same areas we just were a couple hours ago, Kynard back over to Gadsden as well. Those areas I certainly would think about getting back into shelter as that linear segment continues to move in that direction. So that's where the most intense storms are happening. If you are in this area and you see your names being populated here, just go ahead and continue to not only pay attention to us, but also think about the plan to getting into shelter once again, because this is an intense line of storms, regardless of whether we have rotation making it all the way to the ground or not. So that's Broad Branch, Kynard, Weehawken, Lake Grove, Iola, Fisher Corner, Frink, Honeyville, Rollins Corner, Gadsden Still, Scotts Ferry, Abe Spring, Clarksville, Gadsden, White Oak Landing, Marysville again, Lewis and Sharpstown. A lot of those areas we have mentioned already. The tornado, confirmed tornado, now looks like they have just issued a general tornado warning, so that's probably good news on that. That looks like it has weakened considerably, so that's good news. I think they put a general tornado warning out for that instead of a confirmed. So that's good news on that one. That storm also looks like it is weakening too, but nice calm ahead structure here. This could be cycling. That looks like it is strengthening once again. What do you think, Kristen? Yeah, it definitely looks like the couplets are trying to intensify here. So yeah, we got a couple. Definitely a couple spots to continue to watch. Don't let your guard down. It does. We may see this tornado warning get extended and expanded as well, but this is definitely based off the storm structure, that S structure we're talking about, the mesocyclone, and where, of course, we do have the velocity still showing up right now, is something to watch very closely. It doesn't take much. I mean, we've seen it go from one radar scan to the next. There might be nothing there, and then a few minutes later, it appears again. So please, please, please make sure you are heeding the warnings. Whether or not there is a potential tornado trying to form, I'm going to zoom out here and show our reflectivity, because we have quite a bit of active weather extending now from Washington to Jackson County, all the way up into Calhoun, Bay County, Gulf. This is still about to move into Liberty and Franklin, which really hasn't seen the bulk of the activity just yet.
There are many severe thunderstorm warnings in effect. The one to the east now, a larger chunk, including Bay County, as well as far east as western Liberty County, goes until 4:30 p.m. Central Time, and that is for the threat of strong damaging winds, as well as the potential to continue to see hail and a spin-up tornado. So whether or not you have a tornado warning doesn't mean that you should let your guard down. We are talking very strong wind gusts. Wind reports so far have been around 50 to 70 mile per hour reports making its way to the surface. So we've been talking about some of those wind speeds. They've been elevated, but they are now proof that they are mixing down, and a 50, 60, 70 mile per hour wind gusts can do just as much damage as a weak tornado. So please take these warnings seriously, whether that's a tornado warning or a severe thunderstorm warning. You don't need to be outside. You need to be in your safe spot. You need to be away from windows and doorways, and you certainly need to put as many walls between you and the outside as you can as quickly as possible, especially where we do still have tornado warnings ongoing. That does now include parts of eastern Bay County, and it's now for the northern portion of Bay County where we still have some rotation ongoing. And also tracking to the east there, including parts of Calhoun as well as Bay County. So I'm just going to do some quick radar analysis here as we take a closer look. Certainly seeing a few couplets here that we've been watching. One is actually on the northern edge of the tornado warning, just towards the east there of northeast of Bay Head, toward the west of Couch, where you can see green and red coming together on the radar. There is a couplet right here, potentially indicating where we may see a spin-up tornado trying to form. That is just around in the east of County Roads 2301 and south of County Road 388. Can't get any more roads to populate right in that area, but it's essentially to the south of Ecofina, as well as GW Hobbs Road, Gaynor Road. Over there, we are watching for some broad rotation to the west of this area. We have immense rainfall, and what radar is trying to pick up is on a downburst where we have very cool air coming in on the backside, and coming out of a thunderstorm is what we're seeing right over towards Bay Head right now. You can see a very vast coloration on our radar product here, and if I pixel query some of these wind speeds, you're going to see some pretty high numbers, anywhere from 50 to 70 miles per hour. That's what radar is picking up, shooting into the sky. Again, there's potential it could be mixing down, so very strong wind gusts impacting Bay Head with a potential downburst there. Then continuing down to the south side here, still watching for some broad rotation, trying to pick up just towards the northwest of Weewahitchka as we get closer here between looks like Road 5, Wetapo, or Wetapo, excuse me if I'm saying that wrong, State Highway 22. There is some rotation ongoing in here, so if I were you, I would go ahead and head to my safe spot now. Better safe than sorry, and better heads up than last minute. Do what you can to seek shelter. Remember, there is still a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for this large area that does cover the main line of storms, and it should also be treated like a tornado warning. So you want to seek shelter. You want to go to your safe spot, the lowest innermost level of your home. Seeking shelter in a bathroom is a great place, a closet. Basically, the more walls you can put between you and the outside is going to be great for keeping you safe, as not only strong damaging wind gusts come on through, but also potential to see a few more isolated spin-up tornadoes. Ross?
Yeah, we're just looking across the area here, and we're getting some unconfirmed reports of damage across the area, and as soon as we can confirm those, we will relay that information to you. This has certainly cycled. Looks likely that we've got a new tornado developing around Deer Point Lake and 231. That should continue off to the north and east. That would be toward Bluntstown. Again, this does appear that it has cycled, so we do have a new couplet that is going on there. We also have another couplet down here on the north side of Weewahitchka, and just to confirm, earlier, we did get a report of considerable damage in the Hosford area from a confirmed tornado. So that's likely a violent tornado went over the Hosford area up toward Lowry. So if you know somebody up in that area and you're concerned about them, certainly call them and check on them, because we did have a tornado, confirmed tornado, and the word is considerable damage. That could be anything from lots of downed trees to house damage to other damages, but considerable is usually conserved for a violent tornado. So it's quite possible that that's what we saw around the Hosford area. And once again, looking in here, we've got a pretty strong downburst signature, and we've got a couple of at least weak couplets around the area, but that is definitely a strong downburst signature here, working between Cairo and Majette. I know those aren't really towns, but between Bayou, George, and Nixon, that is certainly where we are seeing this very strong downburst happening at this moment. Just as we saw with the other storm right before it produced a violent tornado, we saw it do exactly this with a downburst signature. The RFD started to wrap back up, and then we got that tornado to be confirmed, and violent tornado happened. So where we're seeing the strongest shear is actually on the north side of that couplet, or where that downburst is happening. That's where the strongest shear is happening. This is our shear rate over time here, so you can see where things have been rotating as we go back. Zoom out a little bit here. Yeah, that is some wind there. Zoom out and go back. We got a couple of couplets. Let's just keep it here. So a couplet there on the north side of Weehawken. This is just on the very north side of Gulf County, very south side of Calhoun County. You are not under a tornado warning, but that is a relatively strong couplet. You may be under a tornado warning here very shortly. So State Highway 71 going back up toward continuing up State Highway 71 up towards Scotts Ferry. If that does continue in that direction, that would be where that eventually would go. Again, that's not tornado warned at the moment, but it may be.
I think it is now. They just put it out for Calhoun and Gulf. That would be exactly where that couplet is.
So that's this is now a tornado warning. So tornado warning in place now north of Weehawken. This is going to continue to move up. There it goes. It just populated for us. Drawing all kinds of weird polygons today, but we'll talk about that another time. This is a strong couplet. So likely tornado on the ground or imminently developing here just off to the north of State Highway 22. Thankfully, not seeing debris yet. Doesn't mean that we won't get it eventually, but likely a tornado happening right there. I'm not real sure what CCC road is. I'm guessing County Road, but I'm not sure what the third C stands for, but number 7. So that's probably a trucking road or a logging road. State Highway 71 going back up. Again, this is to the south of Kynard. Kynard is right there underneath the Bannard. And then you got Marysville back off to the north. So this is on the north side of Weehawken, State Highway 71. If you're on the north side of Weehawken in the Calhoun County side, or just off to the south on the Gulf County side, shelter now. Lowest level of your home, most interior room, as many walls between you and the outside as possible. If you're in a manufactured home and you're once again in the Gadsden area, if you're once again in the Espanola area, Abe Springs, back over Marysville, if you're in a manufactured home, go somewhere else. You're not. It's not a survivable situation to have a tornado hit you in a mobile home. It's just point and simple. If you're in a mobile home and you survive a tornado hit, you got lucky. We don't want luck. We want to put you in a situation where you can survive. So I'm telling you, manufactured home, mobile home, get out. Go to a safer place. If you can find a safer place, go to a safer place. And your car is not a safer place. Your car is worse. It's probably a worse location than just staying in the manufactured mobile home, but certainly a possibility of a tornado on the ground there. Also back over toward Lynn Haven, considerable wind coming down to the surface as well. That is between Bayou George and Nixon on 231. That is some strong wind, and we could see a couplet develop here once again. I have to go and look at the reflectivity to see exactly what we've got, but 70 mile per hour winds. This is elevated, so that could definitely be 55, 60 mile per hour winds making it down to the surface. And it's very easy for downbursts like this, especially when you got that kind of broad situation. If this is in an area of rotation, we could see this wrap up as we're trying to see right here. We could see this wrap up into a tornado once again. So if you're in Calhoun County, central Calhoun County, going out State Highway 20, that's that road right there. If you're along that, I certainly would be seeking shelter, or at least thinking about seeking shelter as that is moving in our direction. So again, that's County Road number 16. This is going up Scotts Ferry, Youngtown, and Nixon. That's just off to your south. But if you're in Fisher's Corner, Frink, Clarksville, I'd definitely be thinking about getting in shelter too, just because we have seen these things cycle so very fast. But we do have that tornado warning for Gulf and Calhoun County for that couplet, and I'm telling you, that's going to produce again. But that looks like a tornado. I think that's confirmed. Let's go to CC. That's going to be a confirmed. Yep, confirmed tornado. Confirmed tornado, State Highway 71 between road number 7 and State Highway 71 on the border of Calhoun and Gulf County to the west of Parker Road. This is going to be moving up towards Scotts Ferry and Maryville. That is a confirmed tornado. They haven't confirmed it yet. I'm confirming it now. We've got debris lofted. That is a strong couplet. This is a tornado on the ground. This is going to be moving State Highway 71, Anderson Road, Marysville, Gadsden. That's going to be moving probably just off to your south. So if you're Anderson Road, State Highway 71, if you're south of Scotts Ferry and you live in Calhoun County and you are north of the border and you're south of Scotts Ferry, shelter now. Shelter now. Not a question. Do it now. You got a tornado moving in your direction. That is a tornado on the ground. Lowest level of your home, most interior room, closet or bathroom is preferable. This is not a question of if. This is a tornado. It is on the ground. It is moving up State Highway 71. This is going to be moving toward Anderson Road, toward Parker Road as well. I believe this is a lake here. I'm not sure what lake that is, but that is a lake there. If you're on the west side, there you go. There's the confirmation. Confirmed tornado from the National Weather Service, but we told you that about 2 minutes ago that this was confirmed. So tornado on the ground, moving up again, up toward Marysville as well as Gadsden. But if you live along State Highway 71, right along the lake here, Parker Road, right along the lake, shelter immediately. That is tornado on the ground confirmed. Scotts Ferry, Gadsden, Maryville, Abe Springs, Sharptown, Espanoga, all of those areas, shelter. Gadsden's, we're giving you 15 minutes here. You got 15 minutes. Get in your shelter now. You got a tornado on the ground moving toward you. This isn't a question. You've got time. Do it now. Shelter now if you're in the Gadsden area. If you're in Scotts Ferry area, shelter now. Maryville, same thing. Get into shelter. Oh, thank goodness. That was good. I thought that last update was a little bit different. So that's looking better. Let's go back. Are we on EVX or THL?
We're on EVX. This is THL.
Yeah, THL is nasty. I don't like that. Well, that's a new update. Okay, so that looks better. This may be lifting, maybe a little bit weaker, but still could be cycling too. Let's zoom out and go to reflectivity here, and we can kind of get the structure of what we're looking at, because I think this is just a kink in the, no, that looks like a new storm. Yeah, so this is kind of what we were looking at when we had the tornado around Southport. This is kind of a bookend vortice, so Kristen's drawing it for me now. That's the line segment, and this is going up, and instead of seeing parent thunderstorm rotation and tornado, we're getting line segment wrapped up. So this is a rain-wrapped tornado that is on the ground, basically a ball that develops in between two line segments. And we've got a new thunderstorm here trying to develop on the north side of that bookend. That is a confirmation. Confirmed tornado was definitely on the ground. That is debris. What you're seeing picked up there in the yellow color is debris. That's tree debris. It could be house debris. Could be anything that's on the ground. It's debris. It's not clouds, it's not rain, it's debris. It's literally stuff that got picked up off the ground and thrown up into the atmosphere so that we could see it. That's how we can confirm these tornadoes without actually observing them. It's because we know debris is being lofted up into the air. So this is confirmed tornado working right along, I believe, State Highway 71 and Parker Road. I think that's what that road is, State Highway 71 and Parker Road. This is working right up the lake. Not sure what tornadoes and lakes are doing today, but seems like they're all following lakes. But anyways, this is going to follow right up that toward Gadsden. If it does stay together, Gadsden's in Maryville, that'll be there probably about 10, 15 minutes. You got 10 to 15 minutes to get in your shelter. If this does stay together and stays a tornado on the ground, you got about 10 to 15 minutes before that tornado moves right over the top of you. Eventually, New Hope, Sharpstown, and Abe Springs, you may be in line with this. Mosquito Landing and Espanoga, I certainly would be keeping a close eye on this as well. But we do have debris loft in the atmosphere. Again, this could be from earlier. It may not still be on the ground, but still quite a bit of velocity, wind velocity going on. Even though we're not getting that tight couplet anymore, there's still a lot of wind velocity. The radar seems to be bouncing out of us. We probably should stick to Tallahassee here on that one, because that doesn't seem to be working all that great. So that shows us right here, we still do have a strong couplet that is ongoing at the moment. It's a little further off to the east. That could just be attenuation between the two radars there. But again, working right up Parker Road, State Highway 71. If you're in that area, shelter as this does continue to move through Calhoun County. So Anderson Road, looks like there's a little stripe of homes right through here, right along the lake. If you're in that little spot, that is Dolia Road. Is that how you say that?
Dola Road. I can read roads if you want. I got a little bit better view here.
Yeah, and then go ahead. I think
Dola
that's
Road,
Red
State
Horse.
Highway 71. It looks like Red Horse Sucker Road towards Maryville School Road. Over up through Gaskins, we have Maryville School Road, C.D. Clark Road. Of course, State Highway 71 that continues northward, River Road, County Road 392, and Lee Bailey Landing Road. Those are some of the more residential areas between in and around Scotts Ferry up through Gaskins, and of course continuing to the north through Marysville up through southeastern County Road 69. All of that tracking to the north. That is where this confirmed tornado is headed as well.
Yeah, we're still seeing the couplet there. It is a little more broad, but we still at least do have the wind going on, and you can kind of bounce around here. That's where it dropped out earlier, so not seeing that continue to spread off to the north and east as we're seeing that couplet spread off to the north and east, so that's good news. This also looks like it got stretched a little bit too, so this could be lifting. That would be where our couplet is, right through there. Yep, right where you see that little ball on radar. That could be our tornado. Could be again. There's no telling exactly if that is the actual tornado at this point in time, but that's where it's most likely to be if there is a tornado on the ground moving off to the north and east. Again, strong storms all across the area, no matter where you are as you look. Thankfully, from Bay County, Washington County, going back up to Holmes County, back off to the west. This is all elevated stratiform rain. Your severe threat, at least momentarily, is over. Keep in mind, we are expecting pop-up thunderstorms early tomorrow morning, and we could even see another round of severe weather on Saturday, but certainly we got to get through this round first. So thankfully, what appears are a couple of thunderstorms here. So we got one supercell right there, the potential of a tornado ongoing there. This confirmed tornado warning is going to expire. That thunderstorm doesn't look as well structured as it did, but we're still getting some strong down gusts, and this could cycle as well. Let's go over to base velocity and look out over the water. I just don't want to ignore southern Gulf County just in case we have a water spout down there or something like that. That all looks outflow driven, so maybe not. Yeah, that's all outflow. Yeah, probably not. Probably not. So you're still likely going to see a severe thunderstorm, Gulf County, Franklin County, as that continues. These are intense thunderstorms, but we do have at least a couple of interesting areas on radar. Nothing at the moment that says there's a tornado happening. Kind of a couple of different broads, one couplet there, and then a very broad couplet that is associated with the thunderstorm that produced the tornado in Southport. So thankfully, at the moment, I would say there's no tornadoes on the ground. So that's good news. At the moment, I don't think we're seeing any tornadoes on the ground. That's from earlier. I don't think this is updated. I don't know if the correlation...
I don't think it has either.
I don't think the correlation coefficient's updating. This is starting to become more broad and elevated too, so that's good news. Still kind of a couplet there, but not as strong. And then looking at the other thunderstorm on the backside here, a little bit of a couplet happening there where the downburst is ongoing as well, but it also looks disorganized. So this is really broad area of rotation. So keep in mind, red is wind away from the radar, green is wind toward the radar. So if we are going to get a new couplet to develop, it's probably going to happen somewhere up in here where the parent thunderstorm is a little bit closer to. So it would likely be up in this area if we do get a new couplet. We'll see how that cycles. But at the moment, I don't think there are any tornadoes on the ground at the moment. So certainly good news. That's probably the first for a couple of hours now that we are likely not talking about a tornado. Certainly do have plenty of severe weather ongoing across the area as we speak as well. But good news is that we are at least starting to see the severe threat from Bay County Washington County, Holmes County, Walton County. Your severe threat is definitely mitigated at this point in time. That's all elevated rain. It's not going to be severe weather. Where we have the severe weather is where these surface-based storms are. So basically going back from Mariana all the way down to Port St. Joe, that line of storms getting ready to move, or now moving into Port St. Joe and eventually into Franklin County as well. And then moving out of our area as we get to about the 5 o'clock range. That's probably when we're going to start to see that moving out of our area. But certainly intense thunderstorms, and at least at the moment, I don't think we've got any tornadoes ongoing at the moment. But rain-wrapped tornado was on the ground right around the Calhoun County, Gulf County border. We had reports of damage on the north side of Lynn Haven going toward the Bailey Bridge as well, across on the Southport side. We have at least reports. We had nothing confirmed at the moment. And then we also have reports of considerable damage in the Hosford area from a tornado up there as well. I'm not sure of the population on the northern side of Gulf County here where that tornado was happening, but there certainly could be reports of damage there because we at least saw debris being lofted into the atmosphere. So that was definitely a tornado on the ground. Whether it impacted someone's living area or not, I'm not necessarily sure, but certainly do at least have that. Trying to see, it's trying to cycle up there, but looks okay. How long does this warning go for, Kristen?
This is until 4:15.
4:15, okay.
If you want to hang tight, I'll go chat with the National Weather Service and see.
Yeah, go ahead.
If they're thinking about what they're thinking.
Go ahead. Yeah, put it on reflectivity and zoom out for me. There you go. And then you can go chat with them. So that's what we got going on. We've got basically a little mesocyclone, surface low pressure system has developed, and we've got a couple of thunderstorms that are rotating at the benefit of the atmosphere rotating thanks to these thunderstorms pulling their colder air together, which is why we are getting this extra rotation that we really weren't expecting today because the little low pressure system developed. So isn't it lovely when micro scale things impact a larger scale system? And that's certainly what's going on here. Thankfully, further to the south, this does look still intense, but not seeing any kind of source of rotation there. So this is just going to be frequent lightning, heavy rain, and gusty winds. And we've had reports 60 miles per hour across the area. So even where you're getting severe thunderstorm warnings and you're not under a tornado warning, you're still dealing with impactful weather, as we saw here at the studio. Even though we didn't have a tornado go right over the top of us, we lost power several times, and we had several issues, at least as far as wind gusts across our area, and that was just from that thunderstorm working across that brought the severe wind with it. But certainly a couple of thunderstorms still capable of producing a tornado right there on that mesocyclone, as well as the one that's just kind of being ingested up into it. I doubt we're seeing any kind of tornado activity out of that at this moment in time. It's looking much more elevated, much more broad across the board. So from all of the thunderstorms are looking far more elevated as well as more broad. These are still looking surface-based, but back through here, everything's starting to look like it is elevated, so less chance that we're getting anything to reach down to the ground at this point in time. So certainly good news as far as what we're looking at. But gusty winds all across the area. South of Bluntstown, that's probably where we're seeing the strongest winds back through this area, where we're getting those little bow segments in the line of thunderstorms. But nothing too pressing across this area. That's good news for areas that were under a tornado warning already once, and thankfully not seeing anything to confirm that there's a tornado ongoing. There's still a little couplet there just to the south of Marysville, but nothing super significant. And then probably wind. Look at that. Nice bowing segment wrapping around that thunderstorm there. So right through here is probably where we're seeing enhanced wind gusts. That's because you're getting backing. So you actually can see the drier air that's wrapped around that little parent low pressure system that's developed at the surface and is pushing wind, accelerating wind across Calhoun County, where you're getting that bowing segment. So we're probably seeing very strong wind gusts through southern Calhoun County, even in the area that is under the tornado warning at the moment. even though at the moment I don't think that we actually have a tornado there. We do have a large severe thunderstorm warning from central Gulf County going back over through eastern Liberty County, northeastern Franklin County, and all of Calhoun County, southern Jackson County included in that severe thunderstorm warning, and that is for wind gusts up to 60 miles per hour, as well as frequent lightning, very heavy rainfall, and possibly up to 1-inch hail. We had 2-inch hail reported earlier along Laguna Beach back over to State Highway 79, and now we've had several reports of tornadoes across the area as well. Very busy day, but thankfully are starting to get at least what looks like a downtrend in these thunderstorms. That could just be a momentary thing. We could see things pick back up as we go forward through the rest of this afternoon, but definitely a downtrend. And then back further off to the west, this is all stratiform elevated rain, so not severe. I know it's still raining Bay County. I know it's still raining Walton County. I know it's still raining Washington and Holmes County, but that is not severe. It is elevated rain at this point in time. I think Kristen's got an update for us.
Yeah, just wanted to let you know the National Weather Service is going to expire that tornado warning, to no surprise, because we haven't seen a whole lot of rotation in that area. Of course, the threat for severe weather is still going to occur for central and eastern counties, now moving in through Calhoun, Liberty, Franklin, and parts of Gulf County. Still haven't seen the most intense line coming through for our southernmost locations. So we are going to drop off of programming right now. If there is another tornado warning issued, of course, we'll be right back here to alert you of it. You can also get the latest updates online at mypanhandle.com and get the weather, of course, on the go with the Storm Track 13 app, which comes into great help. If you need to seek shelter, you can watch us live streaming from the app.
School's almost out, and that means some families will rely on our area food banks more than ever. The Salvation Army and News 13 are taking donations at both Panama City